Imagine you could bench press without feeling any shoulder pain at all. Today I'm going to show you 3 tips you can implement into your workouts to take the stress out of the shoulders during the bench press. Plus, stick around to the end because I'm going to show you 3 different benching variations that take all the stress out of the shoulders while still getting that good stimulus in the chest and the triceps. Let's get to it. If you've had shoulder pain for a while and it's a serious ongoing issue, I'd recommend seeing a physiotherapist or a health professional in person that could point you in the right direction. You also might want to consider including some upper back exercises into your warm-ups before you go on to the bench press. If you think about the bench press, your upper back is engaged the entire time. It's like the shelf that the barbell or the dumbbells are resting on as you're doing the press. So I found that for myself personally and my clients, a lot of any unwanted kind of nagging shoulder pain or issues tend to go away when I warm up the upper back with some low impact exercises like band pull aparts or YWTs, face pulls, Y handcuffs. Things that are gonna fire up that posterior chain in the upper back and really dial in on all those small intricate muscles of the upper back that help support the barbell or the dumbbell while we're doing the bench press. In terms of sets and reps, it really is dependent on yourself. I tend to carve out maybe at least 2 to maximum of 3 exercises that I'm gonna do for roughly anywhere between 15 to 20 reps per exercise for maybe a couple of sets each exercise. Technique is our foundation when it comes to strength training. So when it comes to the bench press, if our elbows are flared out excessively, I'm making a T formation with my torso and my upper arms. That 90-degree position puts my shoulder in what's called impingement zone. So it doesn't really feel too good if I'm doing, whether or not I'm doing a dumbbell bench press or a barbell bench press. Flaring my elbows out like that doesn't necessarily feel too good on the shoulders. And honestly, it's just a weaker position altogether. So I want you to think, rather than making a T, try tucking your elbows down to the side, making more of a 45-degree angle. And rather than making a T, you're making more of like an A shape with your upper arms from your collarbone, right? That alleviates a ton of stress on the shoulders, puts you into a better, stronger position, and you'll actually get a better effect from a hypertrophy standpoint for the chest while you're doing the bench press, whether or not you're doing it with a barbell or dumbbells. Now, when it comes to different bench press variations that I like that take a lot of the stress out of the shoulders, one of them is the floor press. So rather than laying on a bench and doing the bench press, you're gonna do the exact same movement, but laying on the ground instead. You could do that with dumbbells, or you could do that with the barbell. What that does is that it limits the range of motion that your arms can travel through. So if I'm on the bench, I can bring my arms through a greater range of motion. And that bottom part, once the dumbbells or the barbell is really low, that's when my shoulders are most active during the bench press, right? If I'm laying on the ground, I can't necessarily bring my arms down all the way like that. Since it cuts that range of motion, I could only bring my upper arms down to the floor, and it takes all the stress out of the shoulder, allowing me to place all that emphasis on the triceps and the chest while I'm doing it. Now, it doesn't mean that you can never bench press from the bench again if you have any shoulder issues, but starting with the floor press and working your way back into like an actual full range of motion bench press is a great starting point if you're experiencing any pain or discomfort in the shoulders while you're benching. The second shoulder-friendly bench variation that I love is a slight decline dumbbell bench press. You're gonna take a 45-pound plate or a bumper plate, you're gonna put it underneath the front of the flat bench, and that's gonna put the bench on a bit of a downward angle. That slight decline really takes a lot of the stress out of the shoulder joints and really allows you to feel your chest working optimally while you're doing the bench press without any of that unwanted nagging pain in the shoulder. The third bench press variation that I love is what's called a pin press. So a pin press is similar to the floor press in that it limits the range of motion of the pressing variation. But this one here specifically is for the barbell. You can't necessarily use dumbbells for this exercise. It's more of a strength building exercise. So if you're looking to bench press heavy, but you don't want to like cause any pain or discomfort in the shoulders, a barbell pin press is really great for your training program. So for a pin press, you're gonna take spotter arms and set them up on a squat rack or a power rack. And what you're gonna do is that the barbell is gonna be resting on top of those spotter arms, and you're gonna be underneath the barbell pressing it up, right? You could set those spotter arms as high or as low as you want. So you can set them lower to get a fuller range of motion. You can set them a little bit higher to decrease the range of motion, but really increase that lockout strength during the bench press. So a barbell pin press is another great shoulder-friendly variation you could use for the bench press.